Hey everyone, today we're going to look at track number 3, which is L'Oreille du Bois. I'm going to do this in two different segments, but I'm going to combine the two. The first go around, we're going to have a look at the harder, faster section, and you can skip that section if you want to check out the intermediate and longer portion, which is a fair bit slower. But if you're not interested in the long one, there's no need to watch through the whole thing, but feel free to watch the whole thing if you'd like to see everything. So let's get to it. Let's have a look at that trail. Here's number 3. So starting off, we're greeted with fairly smooth. This trail is rated as a blue square. There's at some point in the trail it branches off, and there's two alternate endings, alternate paths you can take to finish number 3. Oh yeah. The first path, it's more intermediate. It's a lot longer of a trail, and it just switches back. It's switchback after switchback on its way down to the bottom. The other alternative, which is the one we're going to see today, is the newer addition to number 3. There's a lot of ramps. It's super flowy. I'm still fairly new to it, so I can't hit it with as much speed as I'd like to hit all the ramps properly. And it's significantly shorter. It's significantly shorter than the other alternative, than the old track, I should say. But at the end of this video, I'll show you a clip of the alternative. I'll skip the beginning, what we're doing here now, and I'll put a link. I'll put an annotation on the screen when we get to the intersection, so you can decide on whether or not you want to see the alternative or the original. As you can see, this trail's a bit harder than number 2. There's a few places where actually I only recently got the hang of, and I never had to get off my bike and put my foot down. But number 3 can be a bit confusing on the way down. As you can see, there's a few places where a couple tracks sort of cross over, and sometimes if you're not paying attention, it can be easy to veer off and go to another number, which is alright. There's nothing wrong with creating a segment, linking up multiple different trails together. But if you're planning on doing a specific trail, it can get a little confusing sometimes. There's a few tight sections on this trail, like we just saw. There's a couple more of those on the way. The last few times I've done this trail, I've hit my handlebars off of trees in places where the trees get close together. In this section being one of them, there's a lot of rocks and turns and trees. If you're trying to cut the turns tight, that's where I normally hit my handlebars. Surprisingly, I don't here. There's a couple tight turns. Maybe just keep your outside foot down, push down on it. Just dig your tire, and it can be a lot easier to hit those turns faster and sharper. I normally don't wear clips now. I used to when I started, but it was just too sketchy. When I would hit turns fast and I couldn't get my feet out in time, I'd end up into trees. I almost beat my teeth out on several rocks and such. So I decided to go flats, and invested in a full face. The temperature, I found myself drinking a lot more water as I ride, but that's a small price to pay to not have to get dentures. And plus the flats most definitely contribute to the infrequent falling that I do nowadays. So you might see some similarities to number 2. Lots of rock gardens, baby rocks everywhere, roots sticking up, small tree trunks. All of that mixed in with sharp turns and mud. Makes for a great day to smash your knees. Which I've done one time on this mountain. And it wasn't even related to all those things I just mentioned. I slipped while I was on my bike and I hit my knee off of my frame. It wasn't even that hard, but it's taken like 3 weeks now. It doesn't hurt when I walk, but I can certainly feel it when I'm biking. So the turn is coming up close. I think we're going to do a few more switchbacks and we're going to see that road we just saw again. Yeah, it's up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight through. See how we fare. Oh yeah. Oh. Shit. Man. Holy freak. Not sure how this is going to turn out. Oh shit. Oh. Man, so many steep berms and jumps. You don't get a lot of time to think when you're on this trail. Oh shit. Oh man. Whew. So that's number 3. Intermediate, so we're going to do a 180 degree on the switchback, continue on through, and you're going to go toward the service road again. Here's quite a bit dangerous. It's easy to fall into this little hole after a light rain. The rocks are quite slippery and it's off camber. So if you're coming a little too hot, most likely going to fall off of that thing. Nice few berms, little berms. The intermediate section number 3. The thing that I noticed the most is the turns that it has that are off camber in the end. There's 2 or 3 of them on it. It's great practice if you're going to if you're going to end up in a harder trail eventually. Almost everything is off camber when the turns are there. Just like this one. It's pretty much a flat turn, ends in off camber with lots of rocks and trees. So I figured out what was creaking on my bike. It was a couple nuts in the rear clevis. That's what it said in the book. Not entirely sure what that is, other than one of the hinge points on the rear end of my frame. The rear triangle, maybe, if that's what they call it. Not quite sure. But some more berms, a small off camber section. Again, that can lead you into some trees and bushes and rocks. Number 3 is the reason mostly why I purchased myself a full face. I really wasn't used to those turns. But after getting a full face and some knee pads, and and on top of some flat pedals, stick to the right there at the intersection, I gained more confidence. My God, I felt like it took ages to say that. Combined knee pads, the full face helmet, and flats, I was able to gain more confidence in the riding. I was able to take turns faster, push my limits easier, and not too far at a relatively safe low risk, more off camber, since I could just bail off my bike very easily and not have to worry about my face or my knees or worrying about getting off this bike in time. Ooh, my feet are burning. Oh, I had too high of a gear. So the intermediate portion, number 3, is actually quite fun. You get used to these off-camber turns, all these little rocks, and it rides down side parallel with the harder portion of number 3, which is right there. It has its own technical pieces, lots of a bit of a rock garden, some boulders to get over, some roots. Nice and bermy and flowy. That section I just went through can be a bit dangerous if you hit it with too much speed, especially after a bit of water, rain, or fog, and whatnot. So this portion of 3, they sort of blended it in with the harder section of number 3, which I'm not too fond of because sometimes people can be coming down this other one. And it's hard to check your blind spots when you're going through. So, that's number 3 for today. We'll see you next time. And look at that trail.